Can you imagine getting sued for $3,200 by your own HOA? Just for fishing in the lake you grew up on? Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. Picture this. It's early Tuesday. The water's still got that morning mist curling off the surface, and I'm sitting on the old dock with my dad's vintage rod, just breathing. And then out of nowhere, this woman, heels clicking on the planks like a metronome, marches straight toward me, filming on her phone like she's about to bust some international criminal. Her name was Catherine Perez, and if you've ever met an HOA president who made you feel like a trespasser on your own land, you know the type: professional smile, pressed suit, and the kind of attitude that makes small talk feel like a deposition. "Good morning, Brandon," she said, cold as the lake in January. "I'm documenting unauthorized activity on HOA-managed watershed. New environmental ordinance. Permits required." I swear, I almost laughed, except she was dead serious. See, this wasn't just about fishing. That lake, that cabin, those were my last threads connecting me to my parents, both gone. Inside the place, you can still smell cedar and old leather, see my grandfather's handmade tackle box, my mom's recipe journals, the tools my dad taught me to use. The lake was home, not just water. But Catherine? She'd been running our HOA like a little dictatorship for years. New rules every month, fees for everything, even telling folks what color flowers they could plant. And now, apparently, fishing was a crime. Thing is, I'm not just some tech guy working from home. I used to build fences for a living. Hundreds of them. Settled more property line feuds than I can count. When someone starts messing with your rights, you'd better know exactly where your boundaries are, literally and legally. So as Catherine walked away, heels clicking like a warning shot, I was already thinking about property lines and survey markers. If she wanted to play games, she had no idea who she'd just challenged. That night, while my wife Kelly was making dinner, I spread our property deed across the kitchen table. Kelly just shook her head. She'd seen this HOA circus play out too many times already. "That woman needs a hobby," she muttered, but I could see the worry. We'd moved here for peace, not a battle. But the numbers on that deed told a story Catherine probably never expected anyone to read. People like her think everyone's ignorant about property law. She had no idea I could read a survey better than most lawyers. The next day, I got a certified letter, official as they come, demanding $3,200 for violating environmental regs, threatening legal action if I didn't pay up in 30 days. Most people would have panicked. Me? I started sketching out fence plans on the back of the envelope, already digging through county records to see exactly what she was up to. That's when I found something that made my blood run cold and my jaw drop. Security camera footage of my neighbor. Derek, the guy I'd shared beers with, helped move a sofa or two, sneaking over to Catherine's house. Turns out, he'd been feeding her intel about my routine, my fence plans, everything. You ever get blindsided by someone you thought was a friend? Yeah, that happened. But Derek's betrayal gave me more than heartburn. It showed me how Catherine operated. She wasn't just picking on me. She'd been building dossiers on every neighbor, gathering leverage, ruling through intimidation. And that meant I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. So I called Tom Garcia, a retired surveyor I'd met at the hardware store, a guy with hands like tree roots and a let's-do-it-right attitude. Tom laughed when I explained my situation. "Son, let's make sure those fences are bulletproof," he said, and we got to work. Meanwhile, Catherine ramped things up, filed a lawsuit in small claims court for the full $3,200. No discussion, no mediation, just straight to legal war. That told me everything I needed to know. She was out for blood. But Tom's survey? Absolute gold. Turns out, my property line extended 15 feet closer to the lake than the HOA had ever admitted, right through the so-called community access path Catherine loved to regulate. When I started building that first fence section, blocking her shortcut to the boat launch, the look on her face, let's just say I wish I'd had my phone out. The whole foundation of her HOA empire was ignorance, and I'd just turned on the lights. Neighbors started asking questions. Mrs. Patterson wondered why she'd been paying lake fees for years when nothing ever got done. The Hendersons started digging through their own deeds. You could see Catherine's panic start to leak through her professional armor. She tried to settle, offered to drop the fine if I'd dropped the fence. I told her, make me a better offer. Because this wasn't just about me anymore. Every time I drove a nail, I was driving a wedge into years of her phony authority. Then things got weird. Catherine hired a tree service that accidentally damaged my fence. My cameras caught it all, and the crew boss, bless him, tipped me off. It was no accident. Catherine was unraveling, and the whole neighborhood could feel it. With the court date looming, her surveillance became comical, walking by with a clipboard, snapping pictures, measuring fence posts like some wannabe CSI. But Tom's work was rock solid, every permit filed, every measurement dead on. But here's where it gets wild. While digging for a final fence post, I found old survey stakes buried in my yard, deliberately hidden. They matched Tom's survey exactly, proving that Catherine had known the true boundaries all along and had been lying about them to control access and collect fees. Fraud, not ignorance. I handed all the evidence to the judge: maps, permits, camera footage, buried markers, you name it. Court day felt like Christmas morning. Catherine showed up in her power suit, but the judge was nobody's fool. When asked for county authorization for her rules, Catherine couldn't produce a single document, just stammered and shuffled papers. The judge ruled, all fees refunded, my fence stands, and Catherine barred from enforcing lake regulations ever again. But the judge didn't stop there. She called out Catherine's deception and set a precedent for the whole county. The neighbors erupted. Mrs. Patterson hugged me. The Hendersons brought me pie, and Tom became the busiest surveyor in 3 zip codes. But Catherine wasn't finished. The night after her legal defeat, my security cameras caught her prowling my fence line with gasoline cans, stashing them behind trees. The woman had gone from HOA tyrant to arsonist in record time. I called the police, handed over the footage, and doubled my security. Still, Catherine filed a bogus environmental complaint, sending county inspectors after me. Sarah, the inspector, saw through the nonsense. No violations, no damage, just malicious false reporting. She recommended Catherine be fined for wasting government time. That was the last straw. I started digging through HOA bank records, just like an IT audit. Found thousands siphoned into Catherine's accounts, phantom maintenance, fake invoices, the works. Called an emergency HOA meeting. She tried to bluff. I built this community, you're all ungrateful, but nobody was buying it anymore. The board forced her resignation on the spot. New leadership took over, and every homeowner got a refund. Her reputation? Torched. Now, Catherine went full tilt, caught on camera with bolt cutters, trying to cut my fence at 2 a.m. Cops showed up before she could finish the job, arrested her for criminal mischief. Her house went up for sale, her savings drained by court fees and restitution. Neighbors organized watch rotations, Mrs. Patterson in charge like a 5-star general. Derek, shamed but honest now, helped unravel Catherine's whole spy network. She'd kept dossiers on every neighbor, used fear as a weapon. You'd think that would be the end, but no. Catherine doubled down, planning arson to punish the whole neighborhood. Caught on camera again, this time with enough gasoline to take out half the block. She was arrested for attempted arson, denied bail, and charged with multiple felonies. Her house foreclosed, everything lost. The final twist? She'd stashed more gasoline in a neighbor's shed, planning a delayed fire after her house was gone. But I found it, called the police, and that was that. Her last revenge fizzled out before it ever started. The new HOA put everything out in the open: public budgets, fair rules, no more intimidation. Tom's surveys became the standard for property disputes countywide, and people from other towns started calling for advice. The lake went back to what it was always meant to be: a place for kids to fish, families to barbecue, neighbors to trust each other again. Even Derek rebuilt his reputation, helping on the oversight committee, proving loyalty to truth is what matters in the end. The real lesson? When someone tries to rule through fear, documentation, and a little backbone, beat fake authority every time. My fence didn't just mark the edge of my property. It became the symbol of standing up for what's right, for everyone. And justice? It's a lot sweeter than any fish I ever pulled from that lake. So, what would you have done in my shoes? Ever been bullied by a board or a neighbor who thinks they're untouchable? Drop your wildest HOA or property dispute story in the comments. I want to hear all of it. Because sometimes, the only way to defend your home is to stand up, dig in, and build a fence so strong that nobody can tear it down. Not even with bolt cutters, lawsuits, or gasoline.